Hey everybody, welcome to episode 2 of This Mic Ain't Workin'. I am your host, Grayson Gladu, and let's get started. Kendle, can you tell us a little bit more about the drought in Kenya?
I think that most people don't realize how hard it is to adapt to such a different lifestyle forced by climate change. Because most people don't understand and can't relate because they most likely haven't had to live in such a way. They need help adapting to a new life, and they need help finding new ways to avoid this type of drought in the future. The people of Kenya are receiving aid to help get through the drought and get back to sustainability. The government is doing all that they can to help avoid starvation, but it's probably not going to be enough to help Kenya get back to the way it was before this terrible thing happened. Personally, I don't think that things will be the same for Kenya, and their country has just changed so greatly from this that it may just be better for them to start over. Their government is assisting in all the ways that they can, but I personally feel like they could be doing more. They could be sending organizations over there to help bring food or bring water or just medical teams in case there are certain starvation cases where a person is so malnourished that they need to be in a hospital.
Thanks, Kendall. Now, Grace, what do you think some of the environmental effects are of urban populations growing at a rapid rate?
As mentioned previously, China has a booming economy, but they are paying heavily for all of these developments. Within 668 cities in China, roughly two-thirds are faced with water shortages, and only 1% of China's urban population breathes air that meets the World Health Organization's standards on air quality. And the health effects of breathing in this low-quality air is like infant deaths, asthma, and bronchitis. And in the EU, the reduction of life expectancy in 2000 due to poor air quality was 8 months off of people's lifespan. And something that's also really important is making sure we're careful about our stormwater runoff. And this is basically when the water is on the roads and it takes all of the fertilizers and all of the debris and it takes it into the drains, which takes it into our water sources. And it's often due to development, construction, and residential activities such as driving cars and watering lawns. And urban stormwater runoff is responsible for almost 50% of polluted beaches. And in China specifically, China's Grand Canal and Lake Tai have been heavily polluted with heavy metals and toxic water. These water sources serve as drinking water for the urban populations in China. And the Chinese Academy of Sciences studied the urban stormwater to see the quality of it, and the high levels of pollutants such as nitrogen and phosphorus far exceeded the national standard for surface water quality. And these environmental problems are huge, and they're mostly caused by urban populations and poor sustainability regulations.
Thank you. Now I'm going to talk about marine pollution a little bit more. One fact is there are 25 trillion pieces of plastic debris in the ocean. Of that, 270,000 tons float on the surface, while some 4 billion plastic microfibers per square kilometer litter the deep sea. That sounds astonishing, but the good thing about this fact is that it can be undone. As a whole entire society, including the entire world, we can all come together to help the marine pollution. As you know, there's a company called 4Ocean that has many different vehicles and boats and nets that they use to pick up trash from the ocean. I think that more governments need to be involved and more policies need to be implemented so that we can quickly fix the problem that we have caused to the world's oceans. Now, Kendall, can you tell us a little bit more about the drought in Kenya?
If this drought is happening to many other countries as well, I think that they should all work together to help get each other back on their feet. I also think that more people should know about their struggles and what they're really going through, because most outsiders just see the country suffering. They don't understand why, and they don't know how to help. Their cattle have been starved and deprived of water, which is inevitably killing them, and the lack of rainfall has dried up their watering holes, leaving them with no way to nourish the cattle. And this drought is just so bad that they actually had to declare a national emergency. The families are malnourished, the cattle are as well, since there's little to no water anywhere. And in order for things to get better for them, they need assistance, and they also need new ways to avoid this kind of thing in the future. The main reason for this drought is the climate. The climate is changing, and there really isn't much for the country to do in response to this. Kenya is hardcore suffering, with no way to get through it on their own. The climate is not something any person can change, and that's what makes it so much more difficult to find solutions to help. I feel as though it may be beneficial to the country to have some kind of pipelines installed throughout so that it wouldn't be so difficult for them to get the little water that they can have.
Thanks, Kendall. Now, to finish up, Grace, can you tell us the possible solutions for the urban populations growing?
There are solutions that have been proposed in order for our current economies to continue growing while not having severe effects on the environment. And one popular solution to urbanization is to combat urban sprawl. And urban sprawl is a specific pattern of land use characterized by random placement or low density development. And smart growth is technically the opposite. It's a technique that combines compact designs and high density development, along with strict building project limitations and land use planning. And according to the Environmental Protection Agency, smart growth principles include mixing of land use, range of housing opportunities, preserving open spaces, public transportation, and as most importantly, encouraging community collaboration. By preserving these open spaces, the amount of impervious surfaces is decreased, which also decreases the amount of surface water runoff. Additionally, public transportation will allow for less private households to need to use their vehicles, which will decrease urban carbon output. However, there is a limitation to smart growth because it is heavily based in grassroots support, which is basically it depends on movement of the people to have it happen. And additionally, implementing these smart growth techniques somewhere like China, where their economy is booming, it would be difficult due to the governmental structure and how heavily based in smart growth like it is in grassroots support.
We have wrapped up our second episode of This Mic Ain't Workin'. We just wanted to say a special thank you to everyone that has listened so far. We hope you have a great weekend and even a better Christmas. Thank you.